Good evening. Hope everybody is doing alright. Man, I'm a little tired, a little sore. Did a fair amount of we'll say getting ready today. Pretty much all done. So, of course, I can't go into any details. Sorry, I'm not trying to tease with that. But yeah, I had to take some time and make conditions suitable. So I did that. So anyway, aside from that, just another typical news day. It's not like things are getting any better, and when we have people like doofus at the helm, doesn't make for a good time. So apparently, once again, the doofus in chief made comments to the effect that we would be willing to defend the sovereignty of Taiwan. And while me personally, as a red-blooded American, hey, if they want to be independent, give them some muskets and let it happen, right? And I don't mean literally muskets, but I think that any people have the right to be sovereign. Period. I think that's a natural, a God-given right to be sovereign. I think that's an inalienable right. And I think that goes all the way down to each and every one of us as a human being, as an individual. I think we by default have a natural God-given right to sovereignty. That means as an individual, I can do my own thing as long as it's not interfering with you. You can do your own thing as long as it's not interfering with me. Now let's say you get a group of sovereign individuals together and they enjoy how each other's sovereign and decide they want to sovereign together. Let's say they put a title on their group, a name to their group. That should be respected as well. That sovereign group of individuals. I mean, and so on and so forth. And I think that should be respected. Now, as far as the situation is with Taiwan and China, again, red-blooded American with firm belief in a higher power and just as firm of a belief that he wanted us to be free, that the higher power did not want us to be enslaved by anyone. And I also realize at the same time that when it comes to the nation, it's not that simple. It's not about just how I feel as a red-blooded American. Oh, wow, I just looked up at the chat. Yikes. No fun. No fun being out of AC. Hopefully it's going to cool off in a couple of days for you, though. I know it's going to cool off here in a couple of days, so. Yeah, as a nation, we probably have to approach this situation much more cautiously. Especially much more cautiously than what Biden is doing. Um, we're in a bad spot. This is really bad timing for Russia and China to start to act a fool. For us, it's bad timing. For them, it's great. Great opportunity, which is probably why they're doing it. I don't know. Like a lot of things, I don't have the answer. I don't pretend to have the answer. I'm not here to give you the answer. That's not for me to decide. But what do you do? You know? I don't know. I think the only moral thing that as a nation that we could do with citizens' support would be to provide, supplies. Provide weapons, equipment, supplies. That's about the most we could do. Essentially what's going on with Ukraine. But hey, Taiwan, there's actually a purpose. A purpose that involves us. With Ukraine, that just involves them and their kids, like Hunter Biden and all of that. This stuff in Ukraine, that just benefits them. And I'm sure, believe me, that's probably why they're all going into Taiwan like crazy, the diplomats. They're probably all getting in to get theirs, Get in to get them some. It's crazy. It is so crazy how our nation has been sold out from underneath of us time and time again. And I mean, you would think there'd be something we could do, but I mean, think about it. If you, let's say you rented a piece of land, and you rented land from John, and John decides to sell that land to Bob. Well, you're just a renter. You have no say in that. John can do whatever the hell he wants, and whatever the ramifications are, they are. Kind of the same situation when it comes to us and what's going on with the governments and the militaries. The citizens are standing back, not only as witnesses and just standing back and watching what's going on and just in disbelief, right? Not only that, but nobody can do anything. If anybody even talks about doing anything, they get J6'd. We'll call it that. They get J6'd. It's nuts. It's nuts. And what do you do? What do you do when you have a government that is being illegal and unlawful and nothing's being done? I mean, when you have all of this that's laid out in front of us, and I mean, this has been going on for some time. I mean, of course, we could talk about 9/11. We could talk about Benghazi. We could talk about a number of things. There's a lot. There's a lot. It's just crazy because I don't know a whole hell of a lot that we can do to put a stop to what's going on? I wish I could answer that question, but at the same time, and I have to remind myself of this as well, so it's not. I know I've mentioned others and saying, look, they don't understand it because this says this, right? And I catch myself too. I'm not any different than anyone else. I catch myself smoking opium from time to time as well. And from time to time, I have to pull myself back down off the cloud and remind myself that the good book doesn't say that we fix this. Nowhere does it say that we fix this. It's got to run its course. Got to run its course. So it is what it is. We're back to the point. I did actually get a decent sunset picture tonight. Let's see. Maybe. So I got a decent sunset picture tonight. I think it turned out pretty well. And I do got some articles up. I figured we would go over. This first one here actually broke yesterday. Thank you, Leo. Yeah, I mean, I was very pleased that as soon as I got it up in the air and I saw the clouds, I was like, yep, that's gonna work. I've been trying, I don't know how many nights now for a decent one. When there's no clouds, it's just it's boring. They suck. Oh man. Fun time. Let's see. All right. I've got, what do I got here? Looks like I got, 7 tabs open, I guess. I'm not going to spend a ton of time, just because I don't want to spend a ton of time. I'm tired, yo. Sore. I'm ready to call Uncle and go to bed. Oh, let's see. Biden claims U.S. forces will defend Taiwan. Like I say, this article actually came out on RT last night. But of course, he said this, on 60 Minutes on that episode. But anyway, this is what it says. President Joe Biden has said Washington is willing to use military force to defend Taiwan from Beijing if necessary, while insisting that the U.S. still adheres to the One China policy and is not encouraging the island's independence. Yeah, that's kind of like with Ukraine. They're not enabling them. They're not helping them or anything like that. They're just giving them a shit ton of weapons. Not the same thing at all. During a 60-minute CBS News interview aired Sunday night, Biden was asked if the U.S. would defend the island in a potential conflict between Beijing and Taiwan, including through the use of military force. Yes, if in fact there was an unprecedented attack, Biden replied, before the broadcaster cut away to clarify the controversial statement. A White House official apparently explained to CBS before the interview was aired that the U.S. policy has not changed and that officially the U.S. would still neither confirm nor deny whether American forces would defend Taiwan. And this stuff is dangerous. This stuff is very, very, very dangerous. This is how you get involved in events like the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's insane. Said someone like Ukraine, to be clear, sir, U.S. forces, U.S. men and women, would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion. The interviewer, Scott Pelley, asked again. Yes, reiterated Biden. The U.S. leader, however, also said Washington respects the One China policy, by which it recognizes that all of China's territory, including Taiwan, is governed by Beijing. We agree with what we signed on to a long time ago, and that there's a One China policy, and Taiwan makes their own judgments about their independence. We're not moving, we're not encouraging their being independent, that's their decision. Biden previously made a similar statement in May, calling it America's commitment to protect Taiwan. At the time, amid an outcry from Beijing, the White House was also forced to clarify the U.S. leader's words, saying it did not constitute any changes in Washington policy towards Taiwan or China. So it's the same thing over again, their claims that Mr. Potato Head was not changing policy. At this point, he can't change his own socks. So, policy, good luck. China responds to Biden's Taiwan defense pledge. Dun dun dun. Beijing has issued a protest in response to U.S. President Joe Biden's latest remark that Washington, the drugs are a hell of a thing. Now, that Washington could use its military to defend Taiwan. China considers the self-governing island to be part of its inalienable territory that is temporarily controlled by separatists. On Monday, China's foreign ministry said it deplores and firmly opposes Biden's comment, adding that it has lodged stern representations with Washington. Taipei, in return, welcomed the U.S. president's remark, which it took as confirming Washington's rock-solid security commitment to Taiwan. The polar opposite reactions came after Biden replied in the affirmative when asked by a journalist whether Washington would deploy its military to defend Taiwan. And it went on talking about his quote again, and let's see. I'm seeing if there's anything else new here. No. Nope, the rest just goes into the history of the situation, so. Yeah, fun. Not really. Not really. So apparently, 7 in 10 Americans say the economy is in the crapper. Well, that's not how they worded it, but I think that probably 9 out of 10 would have agreed if you would have worded it that way. The vast majority of Americans are dissatisfied with the state of the economy. A poll from the Associated Press, Nork Center, anyway, for Public Affairs Research shows. I couldn't work there. I'd be walking around the halls going, Nork. I might grow up eventually. Let's see. On 9/22? Well, I hope not. I need a few more days than that. Nicole asked about the theory about rapture occurring on the 22nd. I actually, this is the first I've heard of that. But I'm not a pre-trib guy myself, so I personally would say I doubt it, but again, I'm not a pre-trib guy, so I do think that these days are the days that were spoke of in the Word. And the other thing, I don't pretend to know it all, because I certainly don't. But from what I understand of it, I'm not pre-trib because there's only one thing in the Bible that can even be taken out of context to support the tribulation, to support rapture. I mean, everything else, even in the Bible, everything else in the Bible doesn't tell you that you're going to be able to just. I think of it like, okay, you see the people on the interstate, right? And you got construction coming up, and you got people that stay in that left lane, and they stay in that left lane till the last minute, and then they whip over to the right lane and start, cutting people off and stuff like that. That's how I look at the people that are counting on this pre-trib thing, and I don't think the Father's going to think too kindly of it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The wheat and the tares, that is for this time right here on the earth. The wheat doesn't get pulled up into heaven from the tares. That's not what that bit of scripture says. That's not even remotely what that scripture says at all. So I mean, that's fine. You're not gonna. I'm here to do news. You're definitely not going to. You're definitely not going to change my mind about rapture or any of that, because there's a whole lot of stuff wrong with the Christian story. But I'll leave that at that. Let's see. I was starting on this one. Says here, according to the findings, around 29% of U.S. adults say the economy is in good shape, and 71% say it's doing poorly. The pollsters also revealed that only 27% of Americans are content with the economic and political course taken by the administration of President Joe Biden, while 72% say things are going in the wrong direction. Let's see. President Joe Biden's popularity has improved substantially from this lowest point this summer, but concerns about his handling of the economy persist, the researchers noted, commenting on the survey results. Only 38% approve of Biden's economic leadership, while 53% disapprove of the way that he has dealt with the raging inflation. According to the polls, the vast majority of Americans are concerned about domestic problems rather than the foreign policy issues. The top 5 concerns are the inflation rate, which jumped to 8.3% in August, the state of the economy and jobs, gun control and abortion rate, and soaring gasoline prices. The poll was conducted among 1,054 adults. Hang on. On September 9th through the 12th, using a sample drawn from Newark's probability-based panel, which is designed to be a representative of the U.S. population. So, again, I think that I think probably more people think that our economy is in trouble than that. And I know that's still quite a bit. 70% quite a bit. Hang on. I'll tell you what, there's a whole lot of people concerned. Whole lot. French warned of winter blackouts. And I think, and I know I've talked about this multiple times, but I think it's going to be bad news. And I think it's going to be bad news across the planet. I don't think United States is going to be as quite so bad off as the EU and the UK. And I don't think it's going to be a picnic either. Private households in France may face power outages this winter in the event of severe frost, the head of energy regulator CRE, Emmanuel Wargon, told France Info Radio on Monday. Under no circumstances will there be gas shutdowns in private homes, But on the electrical side, we may be faced with having to make difficult decisions about limited shutdowns, she said, adding these can last for several hours and will be very local at the commune or district level with prior notification to citizens. The regulator noted that the shutdowns would not affect critical infrastructure, including hospitals. Extreme measures could be avoided if the winter is relatively warm, she added. Now, I just want to say that even if they keep the gas flowing and disconnect electricity, many people still won't be able to heat their homes because you need electricity even if you have a gas furnace. So, let's see. Oregon also admitted that the decision to close the Fessenheim nuclear power plant decommissioned in 2020 could not have been taken in the current crisis. We thought that we could gradually replace nuclear energy with renewable energy sources, but now we understand that we will need more energy. We need both sources, she stressed. That's what a lot of people have been trying to tell others. France relies on nuclear energy more than any other European country, generating around 70% of its electricity that way. However, about half of its 56 nuclear reactors have been shut down for maintenance, notably to repair corrosion problems. So, that's a lot of reactors. But, yeah, I would highly recommend that they work on something. It's going to be nasty if they don't. And same here. I mean, we are facing an energy deficit as well. And it seems crazy, but it's all of these policies. It's this nonsense policies that's causing it. I got a kick out of that too, about the winter being relatively warm. Like, sure. Let's see. Speaking of power issues, of course, I'm sure many of you know, Hurricane Fiona had slammed into Puerto Rico and plunged it into darkness. Man, that's crazy. I can't even imagine. I mean, I know we get tornadoes here where I'm at, but tornadoes and hurricanes aren't the same thing. I mean, if you've got a hurricane bearing down on your location, you're gonna get hit. I mean, it's not a maybe. Not a maybe. A tornado's just a maybe. But a hurricane's pretty much a certainty. It says the entire island of Puerto Rico lost power on Sunday as it braced itself for the arrival of the tropical storm Hurricane Fiona. Power outages were already affecting the unincorporated U.S. territory on Saturday, with over 500,000 residents affected. After midday on Sunday, PowerOutage.us showed all 1.4 million customers tracked by the service had their power knocked out. Governor Pedro Pierluisi said the total blackout was caused by damage done to Hurricane Fiona, and Luma Energy, which operates the island's electricity grid, said it could take several days to restore service. The hurricane made a landfall on Puerto Rico later in the day, ripping through the island, causing flash flooding and otherwise ravaging the territory. These rains will produce life-threatening and catastrophic flash and urban flooding across Puerto Rico and the eastern Dominican Republic, along with mudslides and landslides in areas of higher terrain, the U.S. National Hurricane Center warned. So, anyway, that's what's going on with that. Now, Mosaic Master is somebody that lives there, and he's dealing with this currently, dealing with the mess that it has left. But Well, I'm just here covering the news. That's what we do. I normally don't dive very heavy on the biblical end of it. We pretty much stick to news. We're just a spiritually based news outlet. It doesn't mean that we don't do Bible study or nothing. And I'm certainly not going to preach something that's not the Word. So, there's that. I mean, something in there about adding to or taking away that kind of concerns me. Dire winter scenario issued for the EU. Okay, but the father asked me to do news, so you're going to have to find somebody else to ask to preach the word, because I work for the father. So reducing dependence on Russian natural gas supply is impossible for the European Union in the coming year without a massive production halt, RBK Business Daily reported on Monday, citing a study by McKinsey's former Russian division consulting company Yakov and Partners. Their research showed that, despite reports that EU stores are full, the bloc has not yet overcome its reliance on Russian energy and will not be able to get through the coming winter and next year without maintaining gas supplies from Russia or affecting significant reduction in consumption. The report outlined that, in order to meet their needs until the end of 2022, European countries will either have to maintain imports from Russia or reduce gas consumption by an additional 7 to 12 billion cubic meters, which is possible only with the complete or partial shutdown of a number of industries. The deficit may grow to 20 to 30 billion cubic meters if China's demand for LNG recovers, or if the winter is cold and long, or at the bent of disruptions in supply chains, it adds. Yakov and Partners indicated that 70% of nitrogen fertilizer production capacities in the EU have already been stopped, aluminum production has been reduced by 25%, and steel production by 5%. The authors of the study suggested that the decline in production is likely to continue even in the event of a mild winter. In the perspective of 2023, the rejection of Russian gas means a deficit of 40 to 60 billion cubic meters for European countries, even while maintaining the current rate of gas savings for the whole of 2023, said Elena Kutsnava, a partner at the company. I just don't think that they are going to be able to even remotely come close to providing themselves enough gas or electricity. I don't think the EU, I don't think the UK, I think they're going to be in some bad shape. I think some countries might be okay-ish, but we'll see. We'll see. Oh, man. Okay, one more tab open. Then we get fun headlines. Huh. Alright, Italy may lose 500,000 jobs, says study. Italy is at risk of losing up to 582,000 jobs due to the energy crisis and the resulting economic downturn, national media reported on Sunday, citing a study by the Confindustria Association of Industrialists. Okay. Well, here's the thing. Prices of energy are going up. The amount of jobs is going to be going down. They're not in a good situation. And it's going to go into that here. According to the findings, if the gas price stays at its current level, the August average was 235 euros per megawatt hour. Italy's economy will shrink 2.2% next year, and the country will lose up to 383,000 jobs in 2022 to 2023. However, if the price hits 298 euros per megawatt an hour, which is the predicted level based on current gas futures, Italy may suffer a 3.2% decline in GDP and lose hundreds of thousands of jobs. According to the analyst, if Russia shuts down gas supplies altogether from October, Italy could be about 8% or 6.4 billion cubic meters short of the gas it needs to cover demand, taking into account available alternative supplies and reserves. Such a shortage could lead to mass closures of businesses and industries in the country. Italy relies on imports for nearly 75% of its energy consumption. At the start of this year, it was importing 40% of its gas from Russia, but in July its Russian purchases dropped to 25% due to sanctions. Earlier this month, Italy lost much of its supplies from Russia when Gazprom halted flows via the Nord Stream 1 pipeline due to technical issues. Italy's economy minister, Daniele Franco, recently warned that the cost of Italy's net energy imports could double to 100 billion euros this year, or 3% of GDP. Yeah, it's not a good situation. And like I say, it's the whole area. It's all the areas over there. EU, UK. They're all hurting. You know what I haven't heard anything about? I haven't looked. But I haven't heard anything about energy supply issues or anything like that in, like, say, South America. Wonder what gives with that. If we just don't hear about it or if it's not happening. Of course, they've got the coffee, so we better make sure they've got oil. Alright. Let's see. Got the headlines here. Have another sip. Yeah, how many times is China gonna idly stand by while Biden makes statements like he does? Because I don't think they're dumb. And I think the United States is trying to actually play the dumb card. You know, oh, don't worry about what the old man says. You know, had to put him there. Couldn't let Trump get back in, you know. Just ignore the old man. He'll be out in a couple of years. Okay, I got one more from last night, because of course the one was from yesterday when he made the claim that U.S. forces would defend Taiwan. Well, he also said that U.S. forces would back Ukraine for as long as it takes. So I hope you're ready for that with, your tax dollars and all of that. Ukraine crisis could lead to collapse of EU, says ex-Greek PM. The value of Russian gas exports to EU doubles, says a think tank. UK preparing crackdown on Chinese language schools, says media. UK pubs and brewers risk closure, says Financial Times. A UN chief supports Moscow's aid proposal. Ukraine claims missile hit area near nuclear power plant. A German politician predicts fate of Nord Stream 2. A cross procession commemorates Russian emperor. A UN head criticizes EU visa bans for Russians. Adidas accused of massive tax evasion in Russia. A death toll and clashes between ex-Soviet republics revealed. Dire winter scenario in sight for EU. Kremlin accuses Polish leadership of extremism. Children among civilians killed in Ukrainian strike, says authorities. China responds to Biden's Taiwan defense. Oh, I read that article. Eurozone recession warning raised. Kiev's war crime claim is a lie, says Moscow. Germany must explain border change comment, says Polish official. Kremlin questions Pelosi's trip to Russia's ally. Russian fertilizer offered for free to Africa. Donbass Republic eyes vote on joining Russia. Hacker leaks footage of iconic game. U.S. territory plunged into darkness. Oh, I covered that one. China able to blockade Taiwan, says U.S. Admiral. Iranian police react to woman's death in custody. Trump accuses FBI of bad manners. Chinese warned not to touch foreigners. I don't know. Maybe the FBI didn't take their shoes off before they raided his I don't know. U.S. swaps prisoners with the Taliban. Because, we don't negotiate with... Oh, I guess we do. Second Donbass Republic wants vote on uniting with Russia. Turkish bank suspend use of Russian payment system. Musk praises Starlink expansion. I guess so. It's more of a payday for you. Russia floats bioweapons proposal. We just want the F-15s as promised. We're just waiting. German MPs to visit Donbass. OSCE workers sentenced for high treason in Donbass. EU country wants to seize Russians' guns. Wow. There you go. That is the headlines. Oh, wow. I thought I was going to run at least a little bit past 9. Huh. C'est la vie. La vie. I don't even know what the hell that means. What does that mean? C'est la vie? Looks like Celeste. See, she's supposed to know this stuff just off the top of her head. Sheesh. Sheesh. No, it's like Celeste. Does anybody know? It's spelled something like... Celeste La Vie. Yeah. Like, it's a song, but don't it also mean... Ain't it a word? Gosh. And here I was talking about how we were a news show, and I'm sitting here looking up words. Okay, so Celeste is probably a word. Maybe. Meaning. Dictionary. Noun. A small keyboard. Oh, that's a Celesta. That's a Celesta. I don't know, man. my show, my rules, huh? All right, well then hell with it. We're just gonna make up what Celeste means, and isn't that? I thought that was something like somebody said to other people as they were like parting ways or something. I could be totally wrong on that. Sheesh. I need to language more. That's what I need to do. I need to language more. But I don't even understand English, so I don't know how well that would work. So anyway, I am going to sneak out of here because otherwise I'll probably get myself in trouble. And I'm ready to chillax and hopefully tomorrow get to set things up. I wasn't able to get things set up today because I got to wait until I successfully get in a social media group with the folks so that we can converse. And there's other things and stuffs that I have to do. So hopefully we get that part of it squared away tomorrow. And I am able to get everything set up and hopefully going. So anyway, I am going to get out of here. I hope everybody has a good evening. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. I hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.